Welcome to Spearo Diaries podcast with Laura and Elise.
Two Kiwi mermaids talking about spearfishing and ocean adventures.
First, there was Adam and Eve, then Romeo and Juliet, and now we have Blake and Jacob. Part 1 of the Bromance episode, because it was just too much Spearo buddy chemistry to fit into one podcast.
Two frothing Spearo lads who both hail from the far, far north of Aotearoa and have been lucky enough to find their water-loving, fish-killing Spearo soulmate. So let's crack into it. Part 1. Blake Barrett, Jacob Kennedy, Northern Explorers, and a beautiful bromance.
Well, we are here in Cook's Beach at Skinny's Beach with quite possibly the biggest bromance in New Zealand spearfishing history. Two weapons of the ocean, Jacob and Blake. We met you guys in Cook's, here in Cook's actually, after the Mercury Bay Open a couple of years ago, through our friends the Herberts.
And so it happened by chance that we were all in the same spot yesterday morning. We didn't know you guys were down here, but I looked over and there's Jacob and Blake getting the 6 metre biggest tinny that you will have ever seen in your entire life. It's got a tiller and 100 horsepower on the back. Prepping that up to get out there for a good day on the water. So it's the long weekend currently. And we had the Saturday morning was kind of looking the best out of the whole weekend. After that it was turning to crap. So yeah, we got to see you guys there, and I'm stoked with the bad weather that we get to interview you guys today. So welcome, boys, to the Spearo Diaries podcast.
Yeah, cheers for that. It's great to be here as well. I must say one thing, it's a long weekend. The weather's bad, but the tins are always cold. Oh. So if you're not drinking a laid-back lager, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah. Even though the weather's a bit shit, we're still having a good time. There might be a chance for another dive. You never know. We've been known to get out in some pretty rough conditions and do some pretty marginal stuff, but all in a good time.
Yeah, just thank you. I'm Blake, and that. Not much else to be said for this weekend other than what Jacob just said there, so I guess we'll carry on.
Beautiful, but no, we appreciate you both being here. And also just a little bit of last minute planning by us. We didn't plan this super in advance, and we appreciate you guys coming over and being here to have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good to have you guys. So let's start with where you guys are both from. Jacob, what part of the far, far north are you from?
So I was very blessed. I was born in Hauhora. If you are big into spearfishing, you might know of the beautiful country up there and the amazing spearfishing. So I grew up in a holiday park in Pukenui, straight opposite my primary school, and from day dot nearly I was on top of the ocean fishing, and then found spearfishing a little bit later on. So that's where I'm from, way up there in the very, very far north on the tip of the tail, and it's a blessed place to be.
So yeah, myself, grew up in Kaitaia, which is about 40 minutes south of Hauhora, so not quite as far north, but still beautiful and close to each coast, and same deal. Grew up fishing, diving, kind of picked up the spearfishing a little bit later, and then just ran with that.
That's cool. It's just cool to give our listeners like context of you guys being from up north. A lot of people think we only interview Auckland Spearos, and one of the reasons we wanted to interview you guys was where you're from.
Awesome.
Because you're awesome. Also that you guys found each other, which we'll get into, by finding other people to dive with in a remote part of the country where not a lot of people actually spearfish, I'm told by Jacob. So, yeah. Cool. Well, I guess we'll crack into, like, you've eased into it, but could you tell us each, in like a couple of sentences, how you basically like fell in love with spearfishing? So maybe Blake, you first. How did you get into actual spearfishing?
How did I get into actual spearfishing? So I grew up fishing, of course, a lot, and then also did a bit of diving, but always had air troubles as a kid, so didn't really pick it up as much until I turned about 18, where I picked up the spear gun and realised there was just like this whole new challenge involved. And as soon as I did that, I was like, line fishing, still love it, But I'm like,
Shit.
but I'm like, this is a new challenge and I'm loving it. Just the whole sport of it, yeah.
For me, there was a few different ways that I was exposed to it. Like Blake said, I always started with line fishing, but then I started to dive at the wharf, which is where I did a lot of my fishing growing up. So there I started off with Hawaiian sling, chasing the infamous John Dory. A lot of people from down around Auckland and southern ways, they hunt them to wit's end on weed lines deep and deep, but I used to go chasing them in 1/2 metre water with a Hawaiian sling around the poles. So that's where I started. And my best mate growing up, he used to go diving all the time, so I would go diving with him. He was a lot better than me, so half the time I'd spend just trying to catch up with him as he finned along. But that's where I got into it, was mainly Hawaiian spearing John Dory off the wharf, and then eventually I got a Christmas present, which was a blue Marius 75 spear gun. The old man used to have to load it on the wharf for me because I couldn't do that, so he'd get sick of me shooting poddy all the time, or this or that, so I'd have to try and find some better fish so he could load it less, really.
That's cool. I actually went to the wharf not long ago with my mum, and there was a dude in full spearfishing get up under the wharf, under the poles, and I thought he was going a bit rogue, but that's apparently what you do to get into spearfishing in Hauhara. Nice. Cool. I guess, yeah, thinking back to those days, like some people can recall their first fish real, like specifically. Can either of you do that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you exactly what it was, but it would have been between a leather jacket and a red moki.
Hell yeah.
One out of two. Murdered plenty of those as a young un. And then, yeah, probably from there, once I actually got right into spearfishing and got my own gun and stuff, it would have been probably kingfish, because the kingfish are probably the more simple fish to shoot in New Zealand, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Sure. So other than the John Dory on the pole spear, or like maybe a porore or a jack mackerels that swam past, unfortunately for me, I had no one teaching me spearfishing. So my first fish, I was wearing a surfing wetsuit, a little Quicksilver with a hood over the top, vest to load my spear gun, and I was diving in a rock pool at Henderson Bay, and I saw this big shape of a fish. Unfortunately, it had vertical stripes on it, so I am prone and fall in the category of shooting a red moki for my first fish, but you know, I'm proud of it, and there's a photo on the wall. I ate that thing, and it was probably the last red moki I ever ate, so
We are sure there are many people in New Zealand who definitely have accidentally or intentionally shot a red moki.
it's the place to start.
Yeah, there's enough of them around. It'll be all right. Okay, so Blake, you are now a commercial diver. You work for the Herberts and cruise around the country doing your thing. Do you want to have a little yarn about that for us?
Yeah, sure thing. So I started as a commercial diver coming up 2 years now. Why I got into it? Of course, growing up, diving, the dream job is to be a commercial fisherman or commercial diver somehow. And I'd been working for my dad as a plasterer. Kind of hit a point where I was well over that, and saw an ad pop up on Facebook from my now boss Callum looking for a diver. So I just put my name through, told him what I could do. He hit me back with, come out for a day diving and see how you go. And I was like, okay. So I went out for a day with him. He asked me afterwards, do you want to do this? I said yes. He was like, sweet, you got the job.
Cool.
So that's how I got into it. It is much harder than most people realise, because it's not just like you're chilled out spearfishing. It's like up, down, up, down. The first few days are bad. You get bad headaches, but beyond that, it's fun. You get to travel a lot, up and down the country, meet a bunch of awesome divers, and go to some really cool places. So it's pretty hard to complain about until winter anyway, but that's another subject.
And then you work on the weekends too.
Yeah. You don't really have a work schedule. So yeah.
So do you work like basically whenever the diving's good, or are you just how do you go with days off?
It gets told.
Yeah. So in terms of days off, you never really know.
Yeah.
You just get told when you're working. You can look at the weather patterns and get an idea, but really you just get a message telling you you're working the next so many days, and you just hope when you're trying to plan stuff that your days off line up, but you really have no idea when you're properly working, which can be a tricky part of it.
Would you say, like, you froth diving just as much since you started commercial diving? Has it changed it for you at all? Like, in terms of, say, spending time with Jacob and going diving, like, for fun, is it different now?
There's a fine weather dive.
Yeah, so it definitely changed. You don't froth it probably quite as much. Like, you still absolutely love the good days.
Yeah.
But you now look at some days where I would have absolutely punched out before starting this. And I'm like, oh, the water's a bit dirty. It's a bit rough. Probably not going to head out today. But at the same time, if you actually just get out there and do it, you still froth it exactly the same. Nothing changes there. You still absolutely love it.
Nice. I guess the other comments to give people a bit of background on, say, Jacob would just be, because, you've got a commercial diving background, whereas Jacob, I know a little bit about, you used to do underwater hockey, I think, but also still do. Yeah, so underwater hockey, and free diving and safety diving, as well as also being into a bit of line fishing with your brother. So can you give us a little bit of info, just kind of how underwater hockey and free diving also sort of fits in for you with spearfishing?
Sure. So for me, it's not as impressive as Blake. He gets to work in his passion, but I was told never to work in your passion because otherwise you might not fall in love with it anymore. So I went a different route. But in Northland, it's very hard to dive with buddies. You're always diving alone. Whether that's because people don't want to dive with me or because there wasn't really many divers up there, well, I guess I'll never know. So for me, I went to boarding school in Whangarei, and I started to get pretty good at spearfishing and holding my breath. And I knew that blackout was an issue, and it's something that everybody faces. So I wanted to learn my limits and see what to do and how to face these things, because I've never been taught diving alone my whole life. So I was looking into courses and stuff, but they are so expensive. Like, some of the freediving courses are ridiculous. This is a bit of advice I guess I could give out to anyone out there, is join a freediving club. I went and joined the Northland Taniwhas, which unfortunately isn't a freediving club anymore. It might be blessed one day and an instructor will come back, but I went there and I got taken in really nicely. Everybody there in the freediving community is super supportive. They're always up for a yarn and to give you their time and their advice. So I went there and started freediving every week. For me, it was just to test my limits, understand my body, how it feels, how I black out, how I have my sambas, how I react to CO2, how I go through the different stages of your breath hold. And then I fell in love with it a little bit, really, doing that and testing it out. So in my first year of training, I went to the Nationals, and we actually went as a school, me and two other mates that joined up. So we went to the Nationals and competed, which was really fun. The freediving Nationals and that competition side is intense. The training was a lot. From me now, I've learnt that I don't like training for competitions. I just love freediving itself. So from that, after competing, I kept training, learning my limits, which was good. I've learned about sambas and I've had a few blackouts in the pool in very safe environments. Nothing can go wrong there, sort of thing. So now when I come back to my freediving, I know about how I feel and what happens before a blackout and really crucial signs. But then I kept training a little bit just to keep my standard up high for spearfishing, because I went to university in Hamilton, so there's not a lot of spearfishing down there unless you love what are they, koi and carp and dirty old mullet in the river. So I kept training down there, and all of a sudden I was looking over the other side of the pool, and there was these weird people walking around with pole across, water polo hoods on and little sticks and going hard at each other, and it was underwater hockey. So my old mate Jack Hamilton, he probably hates it, but I slowly weaned out of freediving and went across to the other side of the pool and started playing underwater hockey, which is absolutely fun. It's full on, it's a mixed sport, and it's just pure carnage. It's quite entertaining. I'm pretty tall, and a lot of the time the first question I get asked is, do you play basketball? But no, I look at them and say I play underwater hockey, and the look on their face is pretty priceless. Underwater, what is that? So then I kept playing that to this day, not doing too much freediving anymore, but still a massive safety role. Been a safety diver at the Freediving Depth Nationals for the past 4 years, and the Pool Nationals as well. Still loving that community.
Awesome. No, that's cool. Like, just to hear, like, we know a little bit about both of you guys, but it's cool to hear kind of a bit more depth into the other stuff, because I think a lot of people, especially in the spearing community, kind of just presume, especially heaps of young dudes, just don't do safety stuff or don't do freediving, or that they kind of just go off and shoot big kingies and stuff. So I think it's cool to give people a bit of context that, like, you know, you are actually aware of all that stuff, and maybe some of the other reasons behind why you guys go spearing. But that's why we're yarning to you. So yeah, we one of the reasons we wanted to interview you guys together, because we could have done you probably individually, is just that, like, we picked up on quite a cute little bromance, a connection, like a nice warm buzz between you guys as mates and as people who dive together, and like just hearing some of the stories you've both shared and the times we've talked to you and hung out with you. So we thought we would try and, it's just a vista, me and Elisa on the vista waters.
Sadly.
Yeah, a couple of sparkling waters over here to keep us sharp. But yeah, so like we kind of wanted to break down the bromance. I think Jacob might have told me that you guys met online on the apps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the bromance. Now this is quite special actually.
They're actually making eye contact as they're discussing this.
Yeah, Blake is currently touching my thigh. So the bromance started once again in Northland, blessed place. I wanted to dive this reef that is a lot deeper, and this was after I've been doing a lot of safety diving and realizing how crucial it is, and the stuff and the signs, rah. So I wanted a safety diver to start pushing my limits in spearfishing. Unfortunately, in Northland there are very little people, so that makes very little spearfishermen, because it is a small community we have. But I was looking online and I saw this absolutely drop dead gorgeous human holding up a couple trevally, and I was like, that is the Hohora Wharf right there. So I messaged him and he replied back straight away, I must ask. Well, we had yarns and the yarns were good. So I invited him on an intrepid adventure. So I asked him about going out to the Tai-Tais, which is a reef in 22 metres of sand, which is, it's just straight sand, and then there's about 8 or 9 rocks that I assume got thrown out by Mount Camel. The biggest one comes up to about 15 metres, would you say, right?
About 15, I'd say.
Yeah, and then that just drops completely sheer into the sand all around it. So it's one of our favourite spots, and it's the first spot that we dive together. So he actually got the day off work, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did. I think I got the message at like lunchtime the day before, and I was like, fuck, I want to go diving tomorrow now. So, of course, my dad was my boss. Messaged him straight away. I was like, can I just take tomorrow off? I'm sure I'm not needed for work. And he's like, yeah, all right, go spearfishing. I was like, perfect. Went out, got up to your place at like 6 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Can I just butt in a little bit? What was it like meeting like another dude online that you've only seen pictures of their fish with, and kind of like teeing up diving with someone? Like, what are you thinking in your head about going diving with someone at that point?
Don't be shit.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't even know. It was kind of just like, sweet, this guy froths spearfishing, so do I. And of course in the far north, it's really hard to find another spearo who doesn't just want to dive 5 meters and grab a quick feed. They actually want to go out and be like, sweet, there's a spot in 20 meters. Do I need to dive 20 meters? No. But I want to dive 20 meters and just push your limits a little bit, and just keep pushing further, which you just don't get up there too much. So when you finally find someone else who was keen to do that and safe about it, it was just awesome, because like we shot out, first thing we did, I still remember this because I'd never done any safety training before, but we get it.
Just one little thing.
Beautiful. So yeah. Never done any of the safety stuff before, as I'd only been diving really with my cousin. We got out there, first thing he did was, okay, we're going to go through some blackout training here. So if one of us does happen to black out, you're going to know what to do. So we did a few rounds of that first, and yeah, it was really good. I still think about it to this day because I haven't done much more safety training after that, to be honest. But yeah.
So yeah, we just did some basic stuff, just recognising the signs of blackouts. Did a couple rescues. So that was the first thing we did as soon as we anchored up. We jumped in without our spear guns. We could have seen some fish, but the whole goal was, like I said, it was some deeper diving that I hadn't done that depth spearfishing. I know Blake definitely hadn't. I remember telling him about the depth and he's like, oh, I don't know if I could dive that. And I'm like, nah, just come on, we'll make it work. So pushing him a little bit. But I knew that for my own reassurance, and I know now that it really assured Blake that we went in there and we know what to do, and if shit hits the fan, we've got a little baseline. You're not jumping in with no completely unknown ground sort of thing. So yeah, we went out there and it was really good actually. We had yarns straight away and talking shit the whole time. It was, I don't know what we talk shit about. I don't know what we ever talk shit about.
No, we just talk a lot of shit.
It just comes and goes, honestly. It just flows so naturally. But we were there diving away, and I don't know what we shot. I think I shot a kingy, and you shot a kingy, and I shot a snapper, and it was just...
And we grabbed a few crays and a few power from one of Jacob's secret little spots. And
from the cheeky little honey hole on the east coast there, little crack that was very, very good. And Blake still hasn't shown anyone to this day, so, you know...
No one needs to see that.
Gain my faith on the first day.
That's interesting you say that, because I was just thinking as you were talking about that, like it's a pretty big deal to go in your local spots and not know someone and not know if you're going to A, be safe, B, like hanging out with them as a human, but then also like you don't want to share your spots with people that might then go off and show their 10 mates and cousins and everyone, then your spots are wrecked. Like,
yeah, I must say it was a long shot, but I just had this funny feeling inside me that it was going to be right, you know. Blake, I had to show him what I had, and I had to show him what I could show him. Got to keep him around, you know.
And after all these years, you've kept Jacob's crack a good secret, so well done.
And it's cool hearing you talk about it and like seeing like, you know, friendship chemistry, which I know we're joking about the bromance, but like me and Elise feel like that. Like at least I did when she took me for my first dive. Like we went through some safety stuff. I felt real supported. We kind of went over those things. We started out at T-point, but just even the yarns, like we just get along really well. And I think that's like a real important aspect of diving with people. Is not just like, is your ability pretty similar, because I'm crappier than Elise by a mile, but like that you get along enough to like want to spend time together if you're going to be in like bad or good situations together and stuff like that.
Yeah, I must say that the yarns are a massive part of it, but one thing that me and Blake have always talked about and have always known is that we can have yarns and that and everything like that, but we can also have those days where we go out diving and we can get in the water without saying a single thing and both be able to dive so simultaneously together and be able to know what each other's going to do and how we're going to dive. We know how each other hunts our fish, which honestly has been to our compromise a few times, hasn't it, Blake?
It definitely has. There has been times where we've been parked up on the surface and say, for example, you're mid-water burleying for snapper or something, and a nice fish swims up, and we both just sit there looking at it like, oh yeah, he'll shoot it, and then it swims away because we're both like, oh, we're gonna let you shoot it. And yes, that's been to our detriment a couple times.
So to fix that now, we usually have a cheeky little game of paper, scissors, rock at the start of our dive to see who gets to shoot the first fish that comes up.
That's the one. That also applies when we set a snapper burley over a ledge. If we've set one together, just paper, scissors, rock to get who gets to check it first. Just simple little things like that work out really well.
That's a cool little idea, because I definitely have a habit of like not wanting to try and shoot fish if Elise is near me because I'm worried I'm going to stuff it up, and then so I hesitate, and then she'll be like, I was being polite, like I thought you were going to go, and then like
it swims away.
when no one gets it.
We literally did that yesterday. I think we both stared down a kahawai and it was just like looking at each other like, are you going to go or what? Like, what's going on here? So paper, scissors, rock, I like it. I do count myself as a level 2 paper, scissors, rock player, so always start with scissors. That's not true. You will never know. Okay, so what is it that you both like diving with each other? What? Oh.
Nice.
English. I did it England. What is it about each other? No, it's gone. No, how do you say that?
What she means is, what do you like about diving with each other the
Could you
most?
start that
If you
off
could hone in.
instead of
Okay. What is it, Blake, that you like diving with Jacob so much for? I can't even say no either. Hold on.
Look, the hosts are a bit lost here. So, Blake, I just want to ask you, what do you love about diving with me, mate?
Honestly, just when you put that bikini on, just look at your fat ass while you're swimming in front of me. But no, I think we touched. I think we touched on this on the we can both be talking so much shit on some days to each other, not about diving. We're just talking shit, and in other days we just dive together so well that we can do everything without even speaking. So you're just breathing up on the surface and back down, and you always just know one up, one down, and rotate that. So it just makes it so easy. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, we just both love a mission, and we'll push it in conditions we probably shouldn't sometimes. But we both love it.
Yeah, we do both love it. One other thing I would like to say is that when I'm diving with Blake, there's very few people that I'd put my life to the line about. And like Blake, I know that I can push it right to a limit, and no matter what, I'm going to come up and I'm going to see him right there in front of me when I get to the surface. There's few divers that I know that would not swim away on a fish, or something pops up, another opportunity. If I'm down, Blake is nearly offline to spearfishing. He's just purely there for me. And the same goes back to him. But yeah, and then the yarns obviously, and we always get back to the end of the day and sit there on the beach sometimes with the boat on the trailer and lift up the bin and go, you know, that was a good day. And then those sorts of memories are what you carry on, and a few tins later and a few phone calls, or you're at a party and you're just reminiscing about those days, really. So yeah.
That's very cool. The bromance is nice, and I think it sounds like you guys have your spearos souls in sync. And I don't think many people can probably say that they have someone they can dive with that said all that stuff that you guys have said about each other. So, bloody magic, guys, magic.
So I'm sure you guys have had a lot of funny times out in the water and getting up to a lot of mischief. Have you particularly got a funny story about each other, and or a story together potentially where you've been with others? We want to hear the good shit. Has Blake ever shit his pants, or the other way around? Surely Jacob has.
No, we haven't had any pants shitting.
That's good. Well done.
Aquapoo. No code browns, as some might say, but we've had a few aquapoos, and the old aquapoo is like nothing else. If you haven't had an aquapoo, you're missing out. When gravity's taken out of the equation, you can impress yourself with what you can lay out the back, So, we've had a few of those. I can't really think of too many really funny moments. One thing that does come to mind is recently we were talking, and this was about from when we were really on our early days of spearfishing together. Nowadays, as you know, we quite enjoy cracking a few tins, and that can be to our demise some evenings, even before a day's spearfishing. I mean, we went out diving on Saturday, and Friday night was a doozy, but we still went out there. We still made it. And that made us reflect a little bit on some of the first times we were diving. And I think Blake can tell this best because it was right on his perspective.
Yeah, so I think I know the story he's talking about here. I had just finished up work one day, got home, cracked a beer open, and just as I had opened this beer, still steam coming off it, I get a call. I'm like, look, Jacob. Like, answer it. He's like, yo, bro, you want to come spearfishing? I'm like, bro, I've just cracked a beer. He's like,
and?
Yeah, that's basically it. And I'm like, at that time I was pretty fresh, so I didn't even take a sip of that beer, sat it down, shot up, and we went out to the Tai-Tais for a spearfish. I don't remember what we actually got that day.
Slayed it.
I think we would have slayed it. And then, but yeah, these days a little bit different. I would probably nick that beer in another box and still get into it.
Which we don't advise doing at all, but you know, you get around it.
Yeah, not recommended, but it is fun.
So it seems like you guys just kind of have fun together. You probably like everything you do just probably seems pretty humorous and energetic, but no like specific funny stories. But we know you've probably got like a backlog of like memorable.
It kind of just fuses into like memories. I'm sure there's times where I get into my wetsuit by jumping in the water, and of course you get butt ass naked before you jump in. So there's times Blake has definitely seen more parts of me than a lot of humans.
A little too much.
And there's probably other times out there where Blake's been.
The time we sent the boat vertical off Rattle.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So I got a little tinny that I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up. I got quite a few years ago, which is an absolute beast of a boat,
Absolute weapon.
and it's what we've done most of our diving out of. And one day we're launching off Rarawa Beach, and we're sitting there looking at the swell, and Blake's going.
I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, bro, we can't launch in this. It's standing, like, it's big.
And I go, fuck that, man. We gotta get out there. The snappies I can literally see the snapper right now on the ledge. So of course I'm reassuring Blake, nah, bro, I've done this heaps. It'll be all good. He's like, I don't know, but I convinced the silly bugger that we should launch the boat. We got it in the water, and we're sitting there, and I have a Mercury 2-stroke, which it runs good when it runs, but sometimes she doesn't like getting off the mark. She'll flutter out a couple of times before you get her warmed up. So we're sitting there in the swell, and Blake's holding the boat, and then we got to time it just right because there's just a little lull between the sets.
And did we time it just right, Jacob?
I reckon we timed it bang on, actually, Blake. Bang on.
Bang on, you reckon?
Yeah, so we're sitting there, get the motor going, and I'm looking at Blake, and I'm like, right, Bo, now. He jumps in the boat, and we're trying to haul, but we're going along, and then the motor cuts out, and oh no.
Oh no, it didn't cut out. We went up vertical on a swell and came back down, basically on the arse of the boat. I don't think we actually lost anything.
No, we did not lose anything, but the boat definitely had as much water in it as the ocean. It was a flat level.
Lucky it was a pontoon boat, otherwise we would have been under.
And you should have seen the look on Blake's face. It was pure fear, but I still putted out. We got out there, drained the boat, and then we still slayed it, I think, that day. Yeah, but that was a pretty funny moment, getting nearly airborne over a breaking swell and landing motor in the water in a tinny.
I can actually envision that exact area because you took me to get my first snapper launching from Rarawa Beach in that boat, I think.
What happened in that?
Well, what I was going to say is I was going to buff your ego here is I felt pretty like, sweet, this guy, like, he knows the area, he's local, like, he looks like he's driven a boat heaps, he seems real confident. Now you're talking about that, I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty dodgy area. I had only been on a small boat about twice at that point ever spearfishing, and I thought you're pretty onto it with your captaining, so I'm interested to hear that it can go a little gnarly, and I'm glad that did not happen when I was on that boat, to be fair.
Yeah, I must say, even though it pains me to admit, there's a few times where that boat has nearly seen its day. It has definitely been filled a few times in its time. But, I don't know, if you leave it with confidence, right, you can lead the blind into anything. So that's what I do. Just fake it till you make it.
I'll out myself here too. I was going to refer to the fact that on that outing I also missed a really huge snapper and it will haunt me for the rest of my days, but I was informed that your buddy here also had missed a really big snapper or two in the same area.
I've done my fair share of missing big snapper. Some of them, honestly, you'd think you would be able to hit a barn door, but no, couldn't. Close as, just miss them all the time. We've actually got a little montage on Instagram of me missing snapper.
I feel your pain. I was in very shallow water. There were a million snapper around. It should have been a point blank shot, and I cooked it. I got my first snapper after that, and it was tiny, and I think Jacob at the time probably didn't click that I hadn't got a snapper and that I was happy about it because I was so embarrassed I hadn't got this big snapper. Still doesn't let me live it down. That's why I thought I'd out myself.
So to give a bit of context that is apparently not wanting to come out here, but this water was shallow enough that our fin tips were nearly hitting the snapper. I was worried about it. So we're sitting on the surface. It is very, very dark on this reef that I love diving right on dark. Blake's smiling now because he knows the exact reef that I'm talking about. And some stuff happens there that's just, snapper don't do what they do there normally. Like, I'm sure Laura can say what it's like. We were burling up, just cracking some kind of straight blast on the reef, and lo and behold, there's this fish. It would have been 20 pound at least. It was big. And I'm sitting there, it's right blast, and I'm on the surface. I'm like, all right, don't miss. And then she tries to duck dive down, do a big duck dive, and it is literally 3 meters of water. So you cannot stretch out a gun to save herself. So I grab her leg and pull her back to the surface. I'm like, just shoot it. It's right there. So she duck dives again with going against what I say. The spear tip would have been half a meter from it. It was so close. And then it just goes, tink, right into the rock.
There's a great description, and I think it was better that you described it. Yes,
Yeah,
I learned a lot.
At
At
least
least had a
I've not heard it like that actually yet either. Thank you, Jacob.
The truth comes out.
truth came out, but you know what? I thought, shit. I've never seen snapper like that before, and they were everywhere. And I knew that it was unusual, and I was a bit creeped out because it was dark and like I've been vomiting all day. But I was like, no, I've come to Hohora to get a snapper, and I was just so mortified that my first snapper would have been so amazing to have that. But as I said to you, it would have been a tin-ass thing to go somewhere having never shot a snapper and just have an easy one like that too.
Yeah,
Would have been great. But I shot a small one,
Hell
and it was
yeah.
still my first snapper, and it was still a very memorable time. I appreciate the wisdom, and I will be haunted by the vision of that snapper to the rest of my days.
You definitely got a close-up view of it, that's for sure.
Okay, so without giving away too much detail, have you guys got some favourite spots?
Oh, I don't know, eh? Like, I might know a little honey hole or two in my time. Like I said, I got a power hole out of Hohora that holds a good probably 20 legal power in it.
Yeah, something like that.
That I go every now and then get into and grab one or two out of, especially if someone loves power that's come up. Got a couple cray holes that are the nests nearly. Blake's shaking his head because he knows all too well the nests. So I've got them marked up here, there and everywhere. So in rough, dirty conditions, you can anchor up the boat and go, yeah, this cray's right below us right now. And you can go down and grab one. One spot recently I actually got given the spot from a very close mate. He went out there and caught a golden snapper, which if you know spearfishing, you know this is one of the bucket list fish for many divers that are normally deep. So this spot's in 23 meters, and he caught goldies there, and I was like, I want to go and dive that and see if they're still there. So I went out there and dove around, and there's a big drop off, probably about 4 meters, that's got a big undertuck in it. And I went down there looking for it, and the first time I did, I went down, hit the bottom, look up, and I wouldn't believe it, there's a wall of golden snapper in front of me. Not big ones, but probably about 50 odd golden snapper, and they live there. I've been there 3 times now, and they're there every time, same spot, same ledge. But that isn't even my favourite spot. My favourite spot is, funnily enough, where I took Blake diving the first time, which is the ties. And I'm sure Blake can talk about the structure there and why it's so great.
Yeah, so as we touched on earlier, the ties, for starters, first spot we ever dove together, and deepest spot that I'd ever dove at this point. Deepest spot I dived at the time, and it's just this, set of rocks that just pop up out of the sand. They're not very big. So the ties rock pops up out of the sand, and every time we go there, we get about half an hour to an hour where it is just firing with good snapper, good kingfish, even sometimes terraki you'll find there. And that's it. You get that half hour to an hour and then just dies. But for some reason, whenever we first get there, we always get that half an hour to an hour, which is probably, you get there, you shoot the fish, and then they probably all fuck off, but I don't know. Yeah,
Have you figured
I'm
out?
lost again.
Have you figured out have you figured out the timing of like the tides and the currents, or is it just that you guys get there and it's all on and then you start killing it up so they all go and hide?
Well, that's hard to say. I've never been too much to track the tides or the movements, whether that's because I don't care too much about it or because I can't be bothered more likely to look when I go. I just go diving. We tend to dive a lot in the evenings anyway, just after work. Back in the day when we lived up there, would just be after work missions. Around the turn of the tide, I don't know, I guess that's when everyone says, right? So that must be the case, but we would go there and just dive. Like, we would go there and dive. The free diving there is real special. So there's always a massive school of grey mau and demoiselles that are always really active on the rock, and sometimes you get schools of trevally sitting there. There's usually always kingies come through no matter what the tide is, just little ones here and there, and the odd school that might come through. I've had days there where I've had tornadoes of big kingfish there that just come out of nowhere, out of the blue. But it tends to be the case that at some point in the dive, if you stick it out, it just turns on out of nowhere. And whether that's because we've burleyed for a while and the fish come around, or the turn of the tide, it's special. It's like nothing else. You got the drop off that goes directly to sand all around the rock. There's a little bit of rubble off one side where the terraki love to sit, I must say. So we sit there and we'll mid-water burley, which conveniently is one of the favourite ways for me and Blake to shoot snapper. If you haven't sun-sighted a big snapper in mid-water, it is something to experience. It gets you amped up. So we've done that a few times there. So there's those sorts of reasons that keep us going back, and maybe it's just because it's the first place we dive together. We don't know, but that is a very special place to us.
Yeah, I think it's just your bromance magic spots, but it is cool when you have those places like that where you don't really think it's based on any specifics other than just it feels like magic when you're there. Like, it's
a fun place to dive.
Yeah, no, fun. I noticed a lot of the things you just talked about too when I dive with you. Like, you're one of the first spearos I'd ever gone out with where you were kind of more like, these are the spots, rather than like real particular about tides. And even like the hammer with the kinner and like a few different things in the midwater. I'd never seen anyone, I think you were cutting up koi's, or you'd even taken mullet or something from your freezer and then you were like chumming it in the water. Even, I think it was at a spot we went to get kingies, and I just never seen anyone get bait and like chum it and drop it mid-water to try and bring kingies in. And it's just like, I was obviously pretty new, and I still am, but like, you had lots of different things that you've obviously learnt over time, teaching yourself, maybe not diving with other people, that were like real different to other people.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I did a lot of line fishing as a kid, so I know and have learnt from spearfishing how good burley is. A lot of people frown against it, giving out fish to collect fish. I understand that completely, but I love that sort of stuff and want to get some good footage sometimes or see stuff I haven't seen before. So, when it's a bit slow, or sometimes when I first get to a spot, I like to do that, like burling. I'll take out mullet or an old frame of a kingfish or ruddy and just chum it up, and it just kind of gets some activity in the water. Another thing that I think is up home in Hauhora, I know Blake can agree to me here, there isn't a lot of current that hangs around. It's not a place where you will fight current. You can dive all day and not have to push against current unless you're diving at the harbour or in the entrance. So what I've kind of learnt is that fish will hold where they hold. They'll be in areas. They will feed around the turn of the tide or the change of light, which I love hunting most. But I will hop spots. I know you probably saw that, Laura, is that I will get in a spot, burley up, have a little look around. If nothing's happening, I'm gone. And I change around until I find where the fish are, because usually if you find where they are, you can make them feed, you can make them come out from hiding, you can go find them where they're sleeping. But if you're not where they are, then you're not going to get anything, really.
Yeah, no, cool. I think just like important to mention stuff like that on the podcast too, because people are listening to these sometimes to learn and like hear how different people roll in different areas in New Zealand and how different people dive together as buddies and stuff as well. And I think there's definitely that idea that people like solo diving just because they like diving alone, but it's cool to hear that you guys actually like diving together because it's safer, so you can push your limits, and then like you're sharing like local knowledge with each other and stuff like that. And obviously you've done some very cool overseas trips as well. So you've taken the Bromance on tour. Blake, did you want to let us know about one of your kind of overseas trips that you've done? Or Jacob?
I think to start off this overseas trip was the phone call I gave to Blake.
Yes.
I think he can remember now this one. So I was sitting there through freediving as a sport. One of the depth nationals, I met a person there who was from Rarotonga, of all places. And at the end of the competition, she said, "Right, I have a house over there that I'm living at. It's got couches, it's got a spare bed. If you guys ever want to come to Rarotonga, let me know. You can stay at our place." So, parked that in the back of my mind. That's cool. Righty, and I went up home one day. I was sitting there. I wanted to go out diving. I was frothing a dive. It was middle of winter. It was cold. It was windy. It was rough. But me being stubborn, I'm like, nah, I got to go out for a dive. I have to do it. And I went out to another one of my favourite spots, Farmers Point out there. And it was gnarly. I jumped in off the side of the boat and I was holding onto the side of the boat. I remember it sitting there. I couldn't even see my kneecap in the water. It was like, wouldn't even be a meter viz. It was cold as shit. I was like, fuck this. I don't want to dive here anymore. So I went home and I called up my best mate. And what did I say?
Do you love me?
Yeah.
That's exactly how you open. I don't think it was after work. I was there at lunch break at work and I get this phone call and it's just like, "How much do you love me, bro?" And I'm like, "Socks on or socks off?" And yeah, we got past that. Socks off, of course. But yeah, got past and he goes, "Do you want to do a trip to Rarotonga with me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then of course I asked, "When?" He's like, "In a month." And I was like, "Okay, now we need to sort some stuff out here. How long, accommodation, all that." Got past all that. So I think it was a week we were going away for.
Yeah.
That
8
and
or
then
10 days or something.
yeah, once again, working for my dad. So I was like, "Dad, month time, can I have a week off?" And he's like, hummed and hard for a bit. And I was like, "I need to do this trip." He's like, "Okay, go for it." So we were on from there basically, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? I must say, it was your first plane ride, wasn't it, Blake? The first time you ever stepped on foot on a plane?
That was my first ever plane ride in my life, so that was pretty cool to be going on a spearfishing trip with my best mate to the tropics. So yeah.
That's awesome. And did you have fish in mind that you're wanting to target, or yes? Okay.
We sure did have a fish in mind that we wanted to target.
One fish, that's all we wanted.
Yeah, there was one fish, and that would be a wahoo. So we got over there. Luckily, this trip was planned for wahoo season. Unlucky enough, the wahoo season was terrible.
It was one of the shittest seasons they had to date. While we were there, I believe it was under 10 wahoo were caught on line fishing from all the fishermen out there. Yeah, which is crazy. I've heard stories of massive schools of wahoo out there, but it wasn't like that for us. We actually had some insane experiences though. We had some shore dives there that were insane. I nearly speared my first sailfish over there. We saw tiger sharks. We saw wahoo on the drop off. Multiple days. We had a wahoo out on the fad. So even though it was really bad line fishermen, we still saw, I think we saw maybe 8 wahoo.
Yeah, something like that. A good few yellowfin. The sailfish would probably be a highlight, like floating on the surface and just seeing that thing come up from deep and then just turn broadside and put its sail up. That's probably got to be a highlight.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I had my old 90 roller, Rob Allen roller, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a crack. So Blake saw it coming up, this black shadow, and he goes, "Oh shit, it's a marlin." Well, he said something, "Can I drop down?" And I was like, "That is not a marlin, it's a sailfish." Yeah. It came up on our flasher hot. And it turned, I was swimming after it and trying to get it in the tail, but unfortunately my 90 roller didn't quite have the reach, and I just gave him a little pinprick as he swam away. Blake had some epic footage of me following behind it. He was following me, lining up and shooting it, but he decided to not record it, so that will always be a burden for us.
Yeah, so, no, sorry, I didn't have the camera. Rose did.
Oh, right, yeah, of course.
But the camera wasn't set in video mode, So instead of clicking and videoing what happened, and because I was still on the surface at this point, just watching it all happen, she clicked and took a photo, which it would have been awesome to see this footage.
It would have been great. I did get footage of missing a very big wahoo out on the fads. I think blue water syndrome hit me real bad there. I'm sure anyone who's dove in the tropics can talk about that. But believe it or not, even though we didn't get the fish, it was an epic trip. Having shore dives that were as good as going out in a boat with the fads was insane. I mean, I remember having a big yellowfin, would have been 40 odd kilo in our chum for probably the course of a couple hours, but it wouldn't let us get close to it. Every time it came in, we'd dive down and it'd swim away. But those sorts of things on a drop off was pretty special.
I guess stuff like that too, like you have those real amazing experiences that just bond you more as mates and as divers, and even if the GoPro's not on, like sometimes you just can't, even if you film stuff, you just can't put into words or video form just how special stuff like that is anyway.
So yeah, it's hard to say, and I guess we get to live with those memories, no one else does, so lucky us. But we decided to go back the same time the following year. Unfortunately for us, that year we didn't see any wahoo, even though it was a really, really good season for them on the rods. Every day they went out, they caught wahoo. We went out on a few days trolling, one day trolling with a young lad over there, and we hooked wahoo on rod and reel, so they're a bit of a ghost to us, I guess, still. But yeah, that's one thing we still have to both tick off the list, I think.
Oh, I'm sure you guys will sort it out one day, but just for because I'm a bit of a new spearo, obviously, and some of the people listening will be. I just kind of want to know, like, is it hard? I mean, not is it hard diving over there? Because it obviously is, but do you have to dive pretty deep? Like, is there not many fish? Like, how's that kind of go?
Yeah, so I'd say you don't have to dive deep. Not if you're blue water hunting, as all the fish are generally within that top 10 metres. And you rock a flasher, so they usually come in. But what I will touch on is the team sport side of it, whereas over here in New Zealand, when we're hunting snapper, of course it's more of a solo sport because you're trying to be silent, it's just easier. Whereas over there, you're hunting these fish and you want someone to be on the gun, someone burleying, someone with the flasher kind of thing. So each fish is not so much your own fish as it is the people you're diving with. I guess it's your fish if you're ticking off that fish, but it's a massive team sport. Like, you're not going to really hunt them alone because you need the extra people, and that'll go for safety as well.
Yeah, so in our first year, we went out all guns blazing and real keen on it. When we went out to the fads, we both jumped in with our blue water setups, 2 remora floats on each line. But of course you still dive with each other, you're still close to each other as you do, and our remora floats tangled. Luckily we didn't spare anything, luckily, but I would have loved to spare something. But if we spared something big there and our remoras were tangled, we probably would have lost the fish anyway, so then it really didn't even matter. So we learnt that you just go out with one blue water set and you concentrate on that. We tended to have opportunity turns, so if a fish come up and you had an opportunity at it or it stuck around, then you'd swap out between them. Other people do time sort of thing. If we went a day on the blue water without seeing anything, then we'd swap the next day. But I did notice when the system was a little bit broken, so we were working a flasher, the person we were with saw a shark and decided to swim after the shark, and me and Blake was burleying and I was on the blue water gun, and then next thing you know our flasher is slowly swimming away from us and we go, well, what's going on here, and look up and our person's chasing a shark. So that sort of can easily break it. If a fish come up on the other side of the flasher to us, that would have been 20-30 meters away and we might not have even had an opportunity at that fish. So it is a team thing and it's not one person's fish. Well, they get the photo, but I think everybody shares in the glory of that catch.
Yeah, I think that's a cool element of spearfishing. Definitely coming from me and Elisa's point of view, is we like diving with other people and sharing those epic times with people, and yeah, you get excited when your mate gets a fish. Like, for instance, we know Jacob had not a dream fish landed, but a nemesis fish, which Elise recently ticked off as well. And that is, Elise, what did you recently get that Jacob now has finally got one of as well?
Jacob yesterday got a giant boarfish, and it was a beautiful looking fish. Well, we saw the frame after doing the filleting back at Herbert's, and we were like, who got that? So we were very excited to see who got that yesterday. Do you want to tell us about your beautiful boarfish and how you got it and the troubles you've had with those pesky little buggers?
What's a boarfish? Oh, wait, no, I know what those are now, don't I? Yeah, I do. So, diving in Northland, unfortunately, some people might argue against me, and if you do and you have a spot, please get at me, I would love to know. But boarfish sort of stopped getting common up past the calves. I know of some people that have seen them and shot them around the Carry Islands. So, unfortunately for me, they're not in my home waters, so I had to travel to hunt them. I've spent many years trying to tick this fish off. I think six or 7 odd years hunting these things around the Bay of Islands, around Whangarei, around Coromandel a few times, and finally yesterday I murdered one's face. Literally, I shot it right in the face. So we spent out there to some of Blake's honey holes. There was only 2 of us, so once again Blake was the great man he is and let me do some diving. So we went to one spot which was deep and murky and very fishy, but very not fishy on the way we wanted it to be. So we moved to a spot that I'm learning is to be one of my favourites out here, and it is definitely one of Blake's favourites. And within the first drift I saw a pair, but they didn't like the look of me and spooked straight away. And then I saw another one up on the kelp sitting up high on the weed there, but it once again didn't like the look of me. I must have sunk or something because it swam away. And finally, towards the deeper end of the weed line, a couple of drifts later, I saw a fish sitting underneath a ball of kelp out off the weed line, and I swam over to it and saw the second boarfish sitting in front of it. So I crept back a bit. They didn't spook. Came up to the surface, swam across. I actually came up on the surface and yelled out to Blake, there's 2 boarfish sitting right underneath me right now. I hope I don't miss again, because I've done that in the past. And dropped down and, went down. Typical boarfish. Unlike the last one, I came off to the side of it to get a bit more of a profile to shoot. The last one that I missed, I tried to shoot a little pin sitting on the bottom. That's what I tell myself anyway. And then, shot it. Spear went right through its head, swam down, grabbed it, and finally got one of those pesky bloody boarfish.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's pretty epic. It's just, a nemesis fish is different. I'm very new to spearfishing, different for me, but when you've dived as long as you guys have, I guess things like getting goldies and getting boarfish if you haven't been able to find one and all that kind of stuff, or wahoo is why you keep going spearfishing, right? Like, it's not just to murder stuff and kill it, but it's like to get the fish that... But yeah, no, it is. Blake said that earlier. But there's stuff that's either nemesis to you because you just can't find them, or a fish, that you haven't shot before.
It's an excuse to get out there, really.
An excuse to get out there. Nah, it's cool. And obviously you guys decided to get together this weekend and do some spearfishing and hang out and connect. So what else did we have on there? Did you have any upcoming trips? I know you like to go to Rara apparently and pretend to shoot wahoo every year, but are you going there again? Are you going there again this year? Are you going to go somewhere else in the next little while?
We do actually have a trip planning up. Well, that's of course if Blake can get the time off work and if he's not working, because I'm going whether Blake does or not. But there's a hot game fishing season on at the moment, as everyone knows, and I've tried to shoot a marlin for the past couple of years. So Waitangi weekend, I'm going up north, linking up with my brother Ben on the Good Ship Interim, and heading out, and we're going to try and get a pesky marlin. So if Blake's up there, then we'll be sitting on the back of the boat, half an hour each, with a couple big remoras and a 130 roller gun, hoping to put a shaft through the side of one of those. Other than that, there's not many other trips. I mean, I've got my pesky boarfish, so I guess number 2 and a bigger one maybe. But other than that, we've always talked about getting up to the ties again, because that's the spot that we love.
So you guys have been diving together for a long time, and in any romance, bromance relationship, there are things that come up that, maybe kind of annoy you sometimes, or to do with diving altogether. Have you guys got either a ick about each other, like you're like, God, he just keeps like stealing my booties, or anything like that, or if not each other, about other divers in general?
Oh, that's kind of a tough one. I don't think we actually I couldn't think of a diving ick, like
Wait, Blake,
something.
you are the perfect dive buddy, bro.
Yeah, I am. Everything Jacob wishes he could be. No.
Oh,
There goes another.
dangerous.
The biggest one for me would be when someone breaks the one up, one down rule. It really irks me. Like, if you're diving deep, the rule is if someone's down there, you don't dive unless, of course, you're rescuing them. And I've been diving with people that don't do that so much, and it hasn't been communicated. They're like, you do your dive, you know you're doing a deeper dive, and they decide to follow you down anyway to just to watch what you're doing. And that gets to me when you should know your buddies on the surface keeping an eye on you, or someone you can't trust not to, because they see a kingy come in and they chase that when they're supposed to be watching you. That would probably be my biggest one, because I couldn't think of too many others.
Yeah, it's pretty tenacious to say, but I must admit I have had no icks about Blake, and we have not had any conflict through our friendship. Actually, it's pretty bliss. The probably only ick I have is when he keeps missing fish right in front of my face, but he might sort that out one day. Other stuff with divers for me, it might be because I take a lot of new people out, but one thing that is annoying is when I stop and they keep swimming and I've stopped to snoop a ledge and I snoop down and then I look up and there's a person sitting right above my head, and of course that snapper saw them long before I got to the ledge and it is gone. And then yeah, there's not really too much else. I'm pretty cruisy. A little bit of gun safety here and there. I don't like a spare gun pointed at me, and as Blake covered, safety diving is big, but I tend to not do deeper dives or harder dives unless there's somebody like Blake above me that I trust. So
Yeah, absolutely. There's and to go back to you, Blake, there's nothing worse than when you think you're being really confident, you've had a really good dive, and you're like, oh yeah, and you get to the surface and you're like, where's my buddy? And it's like, gone. It's not Laura. She's always right up my grill, and I love that about her. But yeah, sometimes you're like, wow, okay, guess that wasn't that good.
So I'll just butt in there too. I noticed that from me and Elise not diving together for a while, a lot of the other people I have been diving with, and it's not like pointing out anybody, and like I'm real appreciative of who takes me diving, but some people just don't. So then you get that awkward nervousness of like, you turn around and they're like way away from you, but if you dive with someone you know really well and they always watch you, you're suddenly like, oh, now I can't dive as relaxed because they're not going to do what, say, Elise will do when I'm diving. That's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to criticise anyone for like doing their own thing or chasing a kingy or just not wanting to babysit me or whatever, but I don't really, it's cool hearing it from you guys, because I used to feel a little bit like awkward asking a new dive buddy, can you make sure you watch me more? But now hearing you guys say that, I'm actually like, nah, I need to start telling people that more and just say like, I feel more comfortable if we're hard out, one up, one down.
And so we know you both had trouble finding each other, and when you finally found each other, like magic happened. Do you have advice for other people on how to find your type of bromance? Is it possible to find your type of bromance?
good luck.
Is it out there?
No. You will never find this. But no, I would say just dive with new people. Just go out, not even dive with new people, just meet people. Don't be afraid to meet people, because you never know. Like, you could just get on really well.
You could just message someone on Instagram, and next thing you know, you're sitting in a room in Coromandel doing a podcast with your best mate of your life that you are going to be mates forever. So just get after it. Laura's actually probably the best to answer this question, because she gets out, I must say, with anyone, anywhere, doing diving everywhere. I've lived in Auckland for a few months now, since September. Unfortunately got a job down there, not in Northland anymore, and I have only got out diving once in the Hauraki Gulf, and Laura would shake her head at me because she would have got out diving with all these different boaties at all this different times, so she can probably answer that.
Yeah, I've been held up about this a little bit recently. It's definitely not because I'm a good diver, and the amount of people I've been spewing off the side of their boats in the last couple of weeks, I'm just like, man, these people are not going to invite me back. But Yeah, I think all the stuff you guys were talking about too. Like, you do have to hit people up though. Maybe it was the beautiful picture of you with your treves on the wharf that stole Jacob's heart. So maybe it's like on dating
Fish
apps.
pictures.
It's the picture. It's the fish pictures.
Yeah.
I do have some good fish pictures. So maybe people just are duped into thinking that I could be a good spearo. So then they take me out once. You know.
Just
And then-
hold other people's fish.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I've actually never held anyone else's fish. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I have been encouraged to before, but no, yeah, that's probably another thing we'll cover in another pod is how to get out. But you guys hit each other up online, you're brave enough to meet up, and then you knew when you had a good thing and you stuck with it. So
Yeah, no, stuck with me.
You're stuck with me.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness.
Okay, so you guys have been diving for quite some time. I'm pretty sure you've learned how to breathe water. Have you got any technical tips that you could offer to anyone listening that's wanting to, improve in any way?
Yeah, I have a few things. I taught Blake how to snoop snapper, and then he went and shot a bigger one than me, the guy, and that was the first thing I heard about as soon as he got off the boat. I'm proud and envious, and I've spent every waking day snapper snooping trying to get that slight 1 pound heavier than him, but hasn't happened yet. A few things. I always dive... I hold my gun, it's hard to visualize on a podcast, but I hold my gun by its handle upside down behind me.
Yeah.
And it's really weird to describe, but then when you pull your arm forward, the handle rolls into your hand and you're poised to shoot straight away. Other things is I'm always fanatic about being able to find burleys. So I've gotten pretty good at it. It's sort of... I will swim away from a burley the way I want to snoop it, and I'll memorize the bottom structure, maybe a little bare rock here or a gutter that I can swim along from further away to get to this point, because you got to know where your burleys are to be able to get onto them, really. A good duck dive always helps too. Practice your duck dive. That's something I noticed with a whole heap of new spearos is multiple reasons. You're not making a big splash on the surface. You get a lot further from the surface with less energy with a good duck dive. So I was taught at a very young age, one of the guys that I was blessed to go out diving with, he had a good duck dive and he looked at me, he's like, oh my goodness, and stopped and taught me how to do it. So you just get a little bit of momentum forward, holding your gun out in front of you, chase your gun as it falls and lift one leg high in the air, and that one leg should have enough weight to push you under the surface, and then you can kick. Just relaxed off the surface. You don't have to try and battle the wind straight away and kick through air. It'll get you down. Other sort of stuff you kind of just learn as you go. Realize you're going to miss a few big snappers to start with, and you don't hurt yourself about that. It's all learning. Realize what you've done wrong and learn from that, really.
Yeah, I can't top that. I really don't have any other technical tips because you've basically covered it all, and I just dive. I don't really think about it too much.
Well, that's something,
Yeah.
the zone.
Yeah, that would probably be it. Like, just relax.
Yeah.
If you can hit that point where you basically shut your brain off almost and just relax. Don't be scared of the ocean because that's not going to help you at all.
No.
Just, chill out.
It's all good, baby.
Yeah, that's the one. Just feel the water between your toes.
Well, we've heard a lot from you guys and your chemistry as divers together, but we want to sort of go back to singular questions, just a couple before we finish off. We saw that you had a lot of different sea creature moments, and that I won't bust what those are off your Instagrams and stuff of the different creatures you've seen. But Jacob, have you got a moment in the ocean that's particularly changed you or imprinted on you forever that's to do with a sea creature? Any?
Specifically a sea creature?
Yeah, or even just a moment in the ocean that you can pinpoint that was a real pivotal, life-changing kind of situation for you.
I have a few. There's some great stories behind these as always. The first one I might start off with was not a sea creature. We'll start off a little bit heavier, and then we'll end a bit lighter, I guess. So one of the times when we were in Rarotonga, we were diving there and we had a blackout. So the person we were diving with, she experienced a big blackout while we were diving. So we were diving together. I'm always, because of all my safety background, I'm conscious about other people in the water. She was doing hangs at about 20 meters, and just hanging there in the blue water, which is really nice if you haven't done it. The blue water feels like you're flying, and the light rays are coming through the water. It's quite special. And I was watching her as she was coming up one dive, and it was a little bit slow. And then I was looking at her and I realized that she was not okay. So I started swimming over to her just gently because she was still making ground. And then I could recognize her facial features, that she was not present in her face. And she came up, hit the surface, did her exhale to get an inhale, and blacked out straight away, and she started sinking. So I was right beside her at that point, probably 2 meters away. So I dropped the gear and went and grabbed her straight away. Luckily, she was still right there on the surface, so I just had a quick little duck dive and grabbed her. Dropped my gun, that's on a float, didn't care about that. And then picked her up. She came back to, luckily, in 20 seconds. Didn't get all the way through my surface stuff, which if you don't know, you'll remove facial equipment, so you'll swipe the face or pick it up, and then you, right underneath the eye, right on top of your cheek, you slap there quite firmly. Those are where your mammalian responders are, your mammalian dive responders, and you blow across their face too, because air is an essential thing to cause the person to gasp. She came back too, and she was all right. One thing to note is Blake had no idea this was happening, and he was within visual distance of us, so she was back to before Blake even realized that blackout happened. So if you imagine that I wasn't watching her and she was slightly behind us with a little bit of current, she was sinking, and we probably might not have ever seen her again. So that's a little bit serious. That sort of chipped into us how important safety is. One bit more perky moment, I've seen turtles underwater. I've went up and picked their little tails and they've scooched their little booties while they're looking in holes, and I've had humpbacks swim right underneath me with their calves in the tropics, and that was a very, very special moment. But one moment that I think I cherish a lot is the first time I saw a great white shark. The man in the grey suit, we all fear him, we all know he's out there, and we all hope that our first time isn't 4 meters of his at 20 meters on a ledge, because that would be scary. Luckily for us, Blake was diving with me that day. He didn't see the man in the grey suit, but he heard about it. So it was a bit clearer that day. One of our very favourite spots, which is now Great White Ledge. So we're diving up there, and I dropped down to check a burley. I saw a shark covered in trevally, and I thought nothing of it. We see a lot of school sharks and bronze whalers, so you never think it's a great white shark, of course. So I was on a mission, went to check my burley, was on the wrong part of the ledge. So I was like, oh, well, I'll go have a look at the shark. Swam over to it, and I was like, man, that bronzie's got a really weird looking face about it. Like, its face is fucked up. And then its tail came past through the skull, and it had a caudal keel, which, if you don't know what a caudal keel is, it's the little bit at the base of the tails that marlin and grey white sharks and mako sharks have. So I saw that and went, uh-oh, because it was far too shallow for a mako to be hanging out, and I was on the surface, and I had just seen my first grey white shark. And my booty was quivering, I must say. But I still was like, no, I'm okay. And I went down, checked my burley again, had nothing of it. And then I came back to the boat. Me and Blake would anchor up and swim opposite ways on the ledge to do our snapper swooping. And Blake comes up to me, and I remember it. Can you remember what I said to you?
Yeah, it was something like, guess what I just saw? And of course, first thought, big snapper. So I go, big snapper. He's like, nope, it's grey. And I'm like, you saw a white, didn't you? He's like, yep. And we sit there for a little bit, and we're like, so what do we do? And it's just like, guess we keep diving, go back and check our burleys. So that's exactly what we did.
So Blake swam off, and I'm sitting there composing myself a little bit. And I look behind the boat. There's a little bit of current this day, and there he is again. Comes right up, probably 3-4 meters away from me. I was holding the boat, and it comes up, turns broad right in front of me, swims up close to the surface, ducks down, turns around, does another pass. There was no trevally on it. I could see it perfectly clear as day. Wow. All the pattern across the edge of it, it was so stark, it was nearly drawn, the difference between the dark and the white. And then it came past and disappeared, and I never saw it again. But that was a day that we probably is one of our highlighted days for diving. Earlier that day, I got Blake to second shoot a kingfish for me, and I decided to just rip my shaft out of it and load my gun and swim away and leave him with my kingfish to deal with. That day also we had something I haven't seen before and still haven't seen, is we were having fish burleys, and we were putting fish burleys on the bottom. And what did we have issue with, Blake?
Some tackles, crayfish.
Yes, this day. So it would have been coming on sundown at this point, and we'd set our burleys on this ledge. Never had this happen before. It was super cool. And we're just there checking for snapper, and you just see something crawling along the sand, and you swim out and have a look at it. It's like, fuck, that's a big packy. And then you look around, there's like 5 more of them. But the problem is, packies are cool, but they keep stealing our burleys. So
they would bloody pick them up and walk off with our snapper burleys.
yeah, exactly. Like, packies are cool, but you want big snapper. So in the end, I don't think we got any big snapper that day. So we grabbed
Take a packy?
Oh yeah, we grabbed a few. Yeah, grabbed a few off the sand. And we're like, well, we got to feed at least. So
Yeah.
It got so bad with these packies. We were just diving around the outskirts, and you'd see a packy just on the reef walking along, and it's walking in the direction of your damn burley. Like, you're like, nah, you ain't getting my burley again. So that was all within the same day, and it got a bit darker, so we were diving over the sand on a drop-off so we could see the silhouettes of snapper below us in the same spot. And I get up out of the water, and I was looking at Blake, and he's looking at me, and I go, it's getting pretty dark, eh? And he goes,
I don't remember what it was.
wow, you were like, yeah, it is getting pretty dark. And I was like, you know what I saw here today? Like, yeah, he saw a great white shark. I was like, yeah. Do you think we should go home? And you're like, yeah, I think so. So we got out of the water and went home. But we dove right until dark at the same spot we saw a great white, but maybe a bit silly of us.
Nah, it's not silly, not to make it about me, but it's good when you have buddies during situations like that, because as you guys know, I recently saw a great white at Stewart Island. Elise wasn't with me at the time, but I know what you mean about the colour of it. Like, I reckon I could do a watercolour painting of the colour change on its tail and the detail of its tail, because it's so different to other sharks, and it's just it has a different energy about it to like bronzies. My soul left my body. It's still coming back, but I do appreciate that Elise, the next day when I was being a little bitch about it and pretty scared to get back in the water, I lasted about an hour, but she was a very good buddy and very supportive about it. And I do not blame you guys for getting a bit creeped out. I mean, they're known to behave pretty differently to other sharks, so...
Well, they could bite you in half.
Yeah, they could bite you in half. And Hauhora, as I found out after going diving with you and another guy that I dove up north with, I don't know much about areas where great whites were or anything about Hauhora. And like, I get back, I'm like, yeah, I got my first packy, I got my second kingy, my third kingy, my first snapper, telling people. And everyone's like, there's like heaps of great whites up there and like around there. And I was like, oh, nah, neither of the dudes that I dove with told me that, which is good, because then I wasn't like worried about it. But nah, that's cool. I don't know, one of you've seen like a manta ray, but I saw your videos of the humpbacks and the manta ray and like you said, turtles, and just even like you say, talking about walls of goldies, because if people don't know about that the fact that goldies aren't seen by many spearos in New Zealand anymore. So like when you're talking about it before, some people may not know the context of goldies being quite rare as well. So that
one creature moment that I say just popped into my head actually is my pets, which forgot about the pets. So there's this spot that I dove up home that I thought, there's got to be crayfish here. It's a spot you would never think there are, but I was like, I just had this feeling about it. So I went back and I just hunted this ground, and I hunted it. And sure enough, under one little rock, under one little ledge, there's a nest of crays. A couple bigger ones. Yeah, a couple ones that you wouldn't definitely sniff your eyes at, that's a good crayfish. And I went down there and they walked out of their hole and came out to me, and I couldn't get myself to grab them. Aww. So I went back time and time again, every time I went out of the spot diving, and I would feed them fish. So I'll go out and spear a random fish and use the offcuts, and it got to the point where I'd go down to see if they were there, come back up again, go back down, and they had walked out of the hole, because I knew I was going to come down and give them some fish. And I've got some footage that I cannot get myself to release, because I know that people that I have shown the ground to know of what it's like, and they call out the exact spot, and I'm like, no, it's actually down here, and I can't live with myself if those those reds get taken. But I've got footage of sitting down on the ground and holding a piece of fish and they walk onto my lap, and I've got footage of pieces of fish in my mouth that I go down and the crayfish will come up and grab it out of my lips and I'll give them a kiss on the feelers. So it's just random shit like that, but that is probably one of the coolest moments that I've had is my pets, and Blake's has seen them, and how special is it, bro?
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, they are in a spot where you would never think they would be, and so accessible, but they are there. And yeah, you just don't get that very often. Everyone usually takes the crayfish, but if you actually stop and just like enjoy them there and feed them, they're pretty cool.
So my octopus teacher shit right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It is pretty cool though. Not everyone's out to kill everything all the time. The creatures are special.
And so to finish off, what does it mean to you to be a spearo?
Fucking murder!
What does it mean to be a spearo? I guess everyone has their own reasons. Like, yeah, it's a sport to me. I enjoy it. It's kind of it's relaxing. Yeah, like say you're having a shitty day or just shitty week or whatever, you go out for a dive, you're not allowed to think about anything else because you really do have to focus on your dive and just relax, and you don't think about anything else, and you just get to kill shit, which is good fun. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what it would mean to be a spearo, because we all have our different reasons, I guess.
What you get from it. Really.
Yeah, it's like a sport, it's a challenge, there's something to focus on. Yeah.
This is a question, I guess, you don't really think about until you're faced with it, and then you have to try and look inside yourself and realise what it means to you. So for me, at the start, I just love hunting shit and getting a John Dory and the challenge of the next fish and the bigger fish. But as I've grown older and have had challenges in my life, you realise that it gives you those moments to reflect on, and it gives you escape and a place to process a lot of your stuff within you. You know, you might have a lot going on in your life and you go out for a dive, and that silence and just a gentle clicking inside of the water can really help you process what's going on. And then the added bonus, you know, it's a big part for me as well. I get to eat stuff that I collect and I harvest. I never buy fish anymore because I can go out and get it myself. And I mean, I could never afford to buy crayfish. So that's something as well. But also, you know, you get to travel places. I've seen some great places in New Zealand, and I definitely envy the people. Oh, I don't envy. I pity the people who haven't seen some of the underwater structure that we get to see and we get blessed by. But for me, yeah, it's those couple of things. It's an escape. It's my happy place. It's a place for me to process my mind and gain memories that I can look upon dark times. It's a place where I can get sustainable fish that I can feed my family and my friends and my loved ones. And I mean, it's grown me into this 6'6" hunk of meat as fish. And then it's the places, you know, places and people that you see along the way. So it all kind of adds up. And the challenge, as Blake said, it's just everyone has those reasons, but those are sort of the three to me, I guess.
Yeah, probably to touch on that is it's not even just to be a spearo as such in this. It's to be a fisherman, a diver, whatever. It's just the ocean, and like little things from growing up is we had this spot on the west coast that we would dive, and I loved it. I didn't even eat seafood at this point. I ate some fish, and that was I didn't eat any other seafood. But it was you'd find this weather gap, and all your family would go around to dive the spot, and you'd grab your crayfish, your power, might get a spearfish in, and then you'd all come back. Maybe, I don't know, as I was younger I didn't, but as I got older I did, would come back in, crack a beer, have yarns about how your dive went with everybody, and then go home and cook that up that night with all your family and just enjoy that. So it was like almost this, it just brought people together. And yeah.
Yeah, that brings up one big thing for me in the ocean. The blessed John Dory, as I have spent many time hunting. My grandmother, before her passing, it was her favourite fish, and it was absolutely what she'd love to eat. And I would scour looking for them when I went out diving. I can remember I've shot plenty of John Dory over big snapper on a burley. I've chased them down to wits end, to the end of my breath trying to shoot these things. I got pretty good, and it got to the point where my grandma went, Jacob, I love all these John Dory, they're absolutely amazing, but the big ones are a little bit too big for me to have for breakfast. So if you can just get a little one for my breakfast and a big one for dinner, that would be perfect. So, of course, all right, Grandma, I'll try my best. So now, for me, every time I'd see a John Dory, I'd always think, right, there's Grandma's John Dory. Like, that was the first thing that popped into my head. And now after she's gone, she's the first thing that pops into my head every time I see a John Dory. So it's little things like that, that you don't realise that happen, but they just do. So it's a great sport. You should definitely try it if you haven't.
I want to make a big call here that I think you guys both answered that question. Not the best, but I think that's my favourite answers from people with that question, because when we started out with the podcast, it was kind of a weird question that some people were a bit uncomfortable answering. Elise didn't even love the question at the start, and then today I think it's the first time we've chucked it at the end of talking to people. And so the way you guys answered it, it's there's no right or wrong answer, but we love that it brings out a different aspect of the people we've talked to and why it's important to you, because like you said, everyone literally has a different reasoning on it and the way they put it in their own words. So you're beautiful, guys, beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. If people want to hit you up or, give you a little stalk on Instagram or Facebook, where can they find you? What's your handles?
You'll find me at, I think it's Blake Barrett, which would be _Blake Barrett _. I barely remember my own Instagram name.
It's all right, Blakey boy. If they want you, they can come through me.
Doesn't sound wise.
Back off, come on.
My personal Instagram and my diving Instagram is _Jacob_Kennedy. If you wanted to see a lot of the game fishing and fishing that me and my brother get up to, that's outdoor_tails, TALES for tails, and that's a good watch too. We've got a bit going on there, and there's a YouTube video out on our YouTube of me shooting my big kingfish and a few game fishing edits as well, stuff like that. You can definitely follow me there.
Glad you mentioned that, because that big kingy you got is an epic watch. So yes, definitely stalk these guys. Memorable fish. And honestly, I reckon we probably could sit here and talk to you guys for another hour or two, and you still wouldn't run out of yarns and memories and things that have happened, because they just come up as you're yarning.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for coming along and having yarns and enjoying your holiday weekend with us.
And maybe after all this Hohora up north talk, I did say to Elise when I went up there, we'll have to hope that we get a re-invite one day. So maybe one day you guys can take Elise to enjoy the Hohora spoils.
We can do, as long as you promise not to miss like Laura did. It's the only thing.
Not hard, it's not hard.
I'll try my best.
Cheers for having us, guys. It was a great yarn. It picked out some stuff that you don't forget about, but you don't realise that they're still there, sort of stuff. And being with like-minded spearos is always good in this community.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. And pretty much what Jacob said, kind of once you get asked these questions, that's stuff that you haven't thought about, and it's just pulled to the surface, and you're like, oh wow, that was a cool moment or something, and just this is maybe why I do this. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
Doesn't that just fill your float boat, fill it your fish, and warm the cockles of your heart to hear these two talk about their love of diving and the strength of their blossoming bromance?
Tune in next week, part 2 of this dynamic duo, giving us some hearty stories and some hot tips. Toodles! Toodles!